Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast Modern Couples, What Your Therapist Never Told You. My name is Rick Miller,
I'm Lillian Borges.
and we're both therapists who love working with couples, and we've got a doozy for you today. Signs of a toxic relationship. How much do you tolerate? So
Ooh.
this is a good one. You want to start?
Yes. Well, when it comes to toxic, nothing. we should we should not accept any amount of toxicity is too much.
But don't you think every relationship has some bit of toxicity? Or maybe toxicity is an interesting word.
Yes, when you say toxic, you're saying demeaning. You're saying put the other person out of balance. You are shutting the other person down so you can keep in power, diminishing the partner, being punitive. None of it should be accepted.
I feel like there are moments where I do all of that unintentionally, not all the time, and I don't mean to do it. It just comes out of annoyance. And my disclaimer for this podcast was going to be sometimes when we hear descriptions of qualities, we identify with it. And so as we talk about toxic relationships today, we will differentiate between pathological versus normal. I just had a feeling that listeners are going to hear what we have to say and think, oh my God, I'm in a toxic relationship.
This is a great distinction. What is the miscommunication, the things that we do that we non intentionally hurt the other person? What is sometimes me being an avoidant and not wanting to deal with something, avoid difficult topics, or being annoyed and saying something, or start getting upset and getting escalating? And what is toxic? Misogynistic or putting the other person down or wanting to be in control. And so you're bringing the distinction that sometimes we do things that are not the great.
Right. And that was all I was worrying about. I think you're already beginning to define toxic relationships. And to me, toxic relationships also include criticism, gaslighting, coldness, putting the other person down. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. In my mind, the difference between a toxic relationship and a healthy relationship is that the toxicity doesn't necessarily end. It keeps going with either two partners who are cruel and toxic to each other, or the one toxic partner who's constantly demeaning to their partner, and then the partner ends up going far away and distancing themselves and hopefully protecting themselves because it's too painful.
Yeah, it's so funny because there are some relationships that brings the worst in us,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So the other person just trigger you in a way that you get upset and then you escalate, you name calling, you yell at each other. You try to find what is, most hurtful and you just press it. And these sometimes comes from our younger reactive part
Yes.
and somehow, when you are with a specific partner, that's what it brings in you. And sometimes you try to do good, but there's so much negativity in the relationship that even when you bring something positive, is engulfed in the negativity of the black hole of the toxicity.
Or if you're the toxic person, you may think that you're being sweet, but you may be patronizing and condescending.
Yeah.
One of the traits that I think of with a toxic relationship is a partner who undermines the strength and the well-being of their partner
Yeah.
and constantly is modulating them, putting them down, humiliating them, correcting them. It's like they don't get to be their own self and supported and respected for who they are.
You mentioned something that is so good and worth mentioning. A lot of times people do not have awareness of how they come out, their effect of what they're saying has on the other person. They don't see the contempt. They don't see that when they are trying to correct the other person, they're putting them down. You're castrating, quote unquote, the person, whether it's a male or female, doesn't matter. You're taking away their power. So it is very important for anyone, if you want to have a good, healthy relationship, you need to be self aware. You need to know if your partner is acting out, you're probably acting out as well.
We recently recorded a session on narcissism, and it's resonating so much for me right now because many times a partner who can be toxic can also be narcissistic, and that's the reason why they're toxic.
Yeah.
In a healthy relationship, the goal is to respect each other, to see the other person for who they are, to celebrate them, to support them, to be there for them. And in a toxic relationship, the constant put down is more of a norm than anything else. Earlier, when I said the disclaimer that people will hear themselves as having a toxic relationship, I understand the distinction. The distinction is a toxic relationship doesn't stop. In a decent relationship, we get irritated and we also switch back, hopefully, to being okay with each other.
And then you repair. And
Yes.
then you talk it over.
Yes.
And then you are able to go back and resolve the issue. Or maybe if you don't resolve the issues, because there are some issues that cannot be resolved, like one person is adventurous and the other one is a couch potato. And you have to find ways to manage that. It's not gonna, you're gonna change who you are, but you are going to be able to talk about it without putting the person down. You're discussing things, not going to bed too mad, saying, I disagree with you, but I still love you. I still want us to do well. So, in any shape or form that comes out. But in toxic relationship, the toxicity is what is the color that colors the whole relationship. And it just is not only colors it, but it stinks, has a smell. And your partner just brings a negative feeling, even to talk to them. And in a toxic relationship, the negativity takes over. And as I said, even if you say or do something positive, it is not being recognized as such.
That's right. And frequently in a toxic relationship, there's a taker and there's a giver. And the giver is frequently the codependent person who tolerates being criticized. They get used to being gaslighted by their partner. They probably shrink inside, living with a lot of anger and fear. And the taker is the person that makes excuses for their behaviors, doesn't own their own aggressiveness, and takes advantage of their partners, and then denies the reality of all that in a way that, as I said, can be patronizing, even if it's a woman as well. So it's a really dangerous, painful dynamic.
It is. There's no room for growth. There is no room for repair or much love, really. But I would just want to make a note in what you said, because you said there's a taker and a giver. You could have two people doing the same.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was going to talk about that.
Yes, you could have two people doing the same and
Yes.
being nasty with each other and being demeaning and bad and then being stuck in that relationship for whatever reason. And it could be that the two of them are codependent.
Absolutely. I worked with an individual client, and she and her partner were both toxic with each other. And it was emotionally abusive, physically abusive, ongoing. And there was always an incident whenever we met. And her team of providers pleaded with her to end the relationship, not only for her well being, but for her partner's well being too. It took years and years and years. And as a therapist, it's so hard hearing about clients that are in these kinds of relationships.
Yes, yes, it is so difficult because it's like an addiction.
Yes.
They're toxic, but they cannot leave. I had a client once coming to me and saying, I know that you work with hypnosis. I would like you to hypnotize me to stop loving my husband.
Wow. Interesting.
And I was just like, tell me more. Why do you want to stop? Because it's such an unusual request. And then she told me a long story that she has been, married for many, many years. And he was an addict and he was dealing meth and he was not only taking it and had stripped her out of all her money and wealth and she lost her house. So I understood and we helped her.
And I'm sure that you didn't teach her to not love her husband, but instead you worked with her to love herself.
Yay, let's say that together.
How many therapists does it take to change a light bulb?
The light bulb needs to want to change.
So hopefully you gave her a little flicker of light inside of herself.
Well, she was able to leave him and not go back to him.
Oh, good.
And then sometime later, she found someone else and she is very happy. She sent her husband, a new husband, to me for stop smoking. But yeah, I was very proud of her. Yes. Yes.
That's great. That's really, really nice.
Yeah.
I wish all stories could end this way. Not that we're in the business of ending relationships. As therapists, we're in the business of helping people empower themselves. And frequently, people in toxic relationships end up isolating themselves, covering for their partner, not letting people see what's really going on out of shame and embarrassment. And let's face it, when you know someone well and they suddenly pull away and they're no longer connected, you kind of know something's going on.
Yes. Yes.
Well, what should people do that are in toxic relationships?
That's a good question.
I have a list.
So go ahead.
Okay. So, one of the things is to be honest with yourself. If you feel as though you're in a toxic relationship and you're isolating yourself, self care is the first thing that you can engage in more of for yourself. And when clients come to see us for therapy, because of this, either they're indoctrinating us to dislike their partner or they need some feedback that the dynamics in their relationship is getting in the way of their being healthy and their being able to blossom and grow. So that's one of the things. And of course, prioritizing your own safety always is first and foremost above anything else.
Yeah. If you are contributing to the toxicity, just find ways to pull back. Keep your side of the street clean. Clean your communication.
Yeah.
If you are having a hard time seeing yourself, maybe counseling, finding a counselor or a psychotherapy, individual psychotherapy. Where did those patterns of toxic communication come from? Where did you learn that? Clean your side of the street. You know, if your partner is talking bad or using names or gaslighting or putting you down, you just say, "No, let's talk when we are less heated." Or, "No, I don't agree with what you're saying." Keep your side of the street clean. Work on yourself first. If you're part of the rhythm of toxicity in your relationship.
I like that boundary. And I think it takes a lot for people to get there.
Yes, alone.
People sometimes are victimized and defensive and protective of their partners who are toxic. And it takes a while to cut through to get to that place of honesty.
100%. Yeah.
And I find it really hard for myself to be the bearer of challenging news in relationships like this. I mean, it's kind of hard to point out to my clients, you're in an abusive relationship or your partner is emotionally abusive to you. You shouldn't be tolerating this.
No, I say that all the time.
You do?
You're such a great people, I like you. No, I say, "You're good people. You're just horrible to each other. Why do you treat each other like that? Where does
I
it come
like
from?"
that.
You know, there are some people that really your stomach start churning. Sometimes I lay down on the floor and I said, "Oh my God, do you have dogs? Or do your children listen to you? Oh my God." Imagine, I'm putting myself in the shoes of your dog or in a place of your dog or your kids. Poor them.
Wow. And you literally lie down on the ground? You've done that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Good for you. I love that.
I'm gonna take a nap when you guys want to work. Just let me know. Because a lot of times they think we need to show her who we are.
Right.
Sometimes they,
Or we need to show her how bad the other person
yes,
is.
or they're trying to see, let's see if she can handle us.
Yeah. Testing.
They're testing the therapist. You can test me as much as you want. I have 33 years of experience. I can take anything.
I love it. You're not going to take it.
You're not gonna, want to test me, go ahead. So but we are here for testing or for work. If we're here for testing, did you finish your testing? Are we gonna work?
Mhm.
And I think that we have to. I'm not gonna say you have to divorce or you have to do X, Y, or Z, but I say I hold the mirror and they know it.
I guess in a perfect world, I'm speaking about me as a therapist, I can get the client to realize something on their own without me having to say what it is. But
Mm.
truthfully, in today's modern world, given how expensive therapy is, I'm there to give my take on things. So I'm going to channel my inner Lillian, and I may not lie on the floor, but I may do my own version of that.
Yes, I'm dramatic, right? I
Right.
just like the drama
But it works.
and
It absolutely
yes,
works.
that's my style, right?
Right.
And when I say drama is using impact communication to help them to change.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
like using experiences in my office, do different things. I'm not your regular therapist that is just going to talk to you and try to decipher your childhood.
That's a great tagline for your business.
But I want people to be different,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
that's what I'm pushing for them. And if they're toxic and if it's turning my stomach, why do I need to listen to that? No.
That's great. I don't know. Again, as a therapist, we're all taught hang in there, go at their pace, be gentle, don't be too direct. And that doesn't work in instances like this.
No, there are some instances, you need to hold the mirror and say, "You're being horrible. We need to change. I can take you there." But again, like the light bulb needs to want to change and need to want to do the work.
Yes.
And not everybody is. Some people are there to control. Some people are there to make the other person pay. Some people are there for me to prove that the other partner, is the culprit, is the guilty one. And that doesn't work.
I have a case that I'd love to discuss. I was called in to work with a family who wanted to do an intervention on their family member who was toxic to his wife. And we crafted the entire thing and worked hard about what they were going to say, how they were going to say it, when they were going to say it. And plans got a little bit shifted. And when the husband came home, the intervention still took place. And he was so angry that he basically forced the wife to choose between him or the extended family, and she chose him. So, in a lot of people's minds in this family, the intervention failed because he didn't own what was his. In my mind, they didn't get the outcome that they wanted, but he also heard from them how they perceived his behavior to be dangerous and abusive towards his wife and the rest of the family. This is a really delicate situation because you can't always get someone to own their toxicity. That's like unraveling a person to their core to really own and understand, like you said, how did they get this way? Is it based on your parents and what they were like? Is it based on an insecurity? What's it really about as a toxic person?
Yes, and if it's a true narcissist, and I'm saying it's narcissistic personality disorder, they will not be able to listen to criticism, any criticism. If it's just a jerk, a very bad jerk, then they will want to be in power and hard for them to listen to any criticism. So in that case, really finding an individual therapist who helps you to stand up to him and not take shit, right? You don't have to yell, you don't have to convince him, you don't have or I'm saying him, it could be her.
Well, I mean, in this case, it was a him.
Yes, and, but helps you to understand why do you believe the gaslight? Why do you mute yourself in these situations?
Right.
Why do you annul and make it yourself invisible for his sake? What is going on internally in your self-esteem and how you see yourself that you accept that and work on that, and that can take many, many years, by the way, and how to build yourself to either leave the person or to stay in a different way so you don't accept a lot of what is said and puts down that you receive.
A lot of spouses of people who abuse substances have a dynamic like this, and when they go to Al-Anon, they really learn to be consistent, be clear, set boundaries, not participate in the dynamic that makes it go out of control. I am a big believer in Al-Anon, but I also am a big believer in therapy groups. And if you're a partner who's feeling victimized and you were to join a group, you're going to be challenged and supported for being independent, for being less codependent, for developing a life of your own, all that. So, those are other ways of taking care of yourself that I also think are important.
Exactly. And they're very, very important. I also agree. And Al Anon or AA are great programs, helps you, support you to change, to be the person that you want to be, and you have the potential to be without the addiction, because that affects who you are in relationships and what you accept in relationships.
Absolutely.
So 100%.
So, a person who's high or drunk may become toxic, even though they're not like that at other points.
Yes. And also, the addiction is the most important thing in their relationship,
That's right. Yeah.
is not a partner. So that alone creates friction, conflict in the relationship because that's not healthy.
What about cutting ties? Somehow you're probably good at this because you're good at being bold, but there are moments where either one person is abused and it's not healthy, or both are abusive to each other and they shouldn't be in the relationship with each other. And it is our job as a therapist to suggest that they not stay together. Clients may leave therapy as a result, but when do you advise couples to cut ties or individuals? Have you done that with some of your clients?
Never. I
Really?
don't do that.
Wow.
I don't believe that. I'm not making the decision for you. I don't do that.
Okay.
Even when I see that one person is a sociopath, I never done that.
That's interesting.
Oh, actually, when I did that with some individuals, not in couples.
Right. Okay.
With individuals, I now I remember a few actually, ladies who came to me and they were in relationships with sociopath. I said, "Run, don't look back."
Wow. And do they honor and listen to what you were saying?
They listened to me. They were not able to do it right away, but eventually they did. I think that they needed to see that that was hopeless. I was seeing that before them because of the behaviors.
And I would also guess that other people in their life saw the same thing as you, and you probably weren't the first person to say what you were saying, but maybe, again, the light bulb analogy, maybe you had the power because they see you as an authority to vocalize it and assess and give advice that may sink in a little differently than other people.
Yeah. But that is something that we have to take it lightly. You have to be with a person for a long time, understand the impact of that relationship on the person, knowing that by virtue of being in the relationship, the person is getting depressed, losing self esteem, losing their strength, their power, their worth. They're just making themselves invisible. And you see, based on what they, not only the results, but what your patient says, that their intentions are not good. Their intentions is just to stay in the power or steal or lie. And in that sense, I do think in some cases I told them to.
And I also think that we can point out what's happening without saying go or stay, just kind of repeating the dynamic that's happening time and time again.
Yes. And I did that. And they would say that I know I need to leave them. Then when I say it back,
Yeah, right.
they move back and say, wow, okay. So the fear comes in, their low self esteem comes in, the thinking that I cannot live or survive without this person. What's going to happen with me? All the fears start showing up. And it is time for us to support them. And regardless what they do for them to grow, they need to face their fears, empower themselves, and improve their self esteem.
That's the most important part.
Yes.
And whether it's therapy, family, friends, this is what we want to encourage people to do that are in a relationship that's toxic. Really focus on self care.
Do you tell couples to divorce or do you have to separate?
No, I mean, I want to sometimes. I will question
Yes.
why they are together, and I'll point out what it is that they're doing to each other and say some people in your situation and the relationship, others stay and they remain miserable with each other. The choice is yours. But like you, I may want to say something, but it would feel odd because the truth is we can tell people what to do, but they're going to do what they're going to do anyways. And I don't want people to feel as though I'm disloyal to them. I want them to feel as though I'm on their side.
Yeah. I'm not there to decide who is right, who is wrong, or what they're going to do.
Exactly.
I'm not a referee. I'm a couples therapist. I'm helping them to change some unhealthy patterns so they can be better with each other. But then they will decide what they want to do.
Well, and again, as I'm sitting here with you, we're talking about this. My hope is that people will take responsibility for their own actions. Maybe this is my takeaway. Be able to assess what's healthy for me as an individual and what isn't, to tolerate behaviors from your partner and create enough distance to be safe without feeling like you need to fix that person or criticize them for the way that they're treating you. And break out of isolation, be close, be connected, establish your own support network, your friends, get a job, do whatever you can do to save yourself, your well being, and have an identity for yourself that feels in line with who you know you are.
Yes. So the things is what to do if you see some toxicity or toxic signs. So recognize the signs. You can write them down or talk to someone. Recognize if you play a role in this, if you yell back, if you're trying to put the person down. So recognize the signs and see what is your role, or maybe you just fawn and you just play dead and you accept everything. And then try open communication and saying, this is what I'm seeing. Let's try to do this differently. And set boundaries. If in the future you talk about it, you said that you're not going to do it, and that here we are doing it. Set boundaries. Let's not do that again. This doesn't work
Mhm.
for us. And if it continues and continues, then you have to evaluate or reevaluate your relationship. Of course, in this process, you might want to do couples therapy to see a third party or someone who can help you in the relationship in a healthier way. But it's not always the case. Sometimes so much negativity had passed that that's not much to be salvaged.
Yeah, it's a sad reality that there are couples like this.
Yeah, and they take too long to get to our offices.
Yeah. I always say that to many couples. You waited 3 years too long to get here.
Yeah, exactly. 30 years too long.
This is a topic that is challenging, and it's not gonna be a quick fix. It's gonna take a lot of time. Roll up your sleeves, do your homework, and take good care of yourself. That's my advice.
Yes, the same. This is such a big topic. We cannot tackle, everything in one podcast episode.
Yeah. Well, that is it for today. Thanks as always for joining us for Modern Couples, What Your Therapist Never Told You. And here's to healthy relationships, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye bye.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.